There we go. All right. Yeah. So I'm just going to make you host, and then you'll be able to share your screen. I can annotate your screen whenever you're ready, mate. For the people that are watching this replay, Shannon just run me through. He had a really successful week last week. Getting some awesome. What was it? 250 or 251% gains? 250.
Yeah.
250% gains in a week through his trading portfolio. So, just going to run through a few things. He's going to be sharing his screen and sharing some of his charts and entries that he made last week. Just going off TradingView. For the people that don't know, this is obviously a free website, tradingview.com. You can get the free version. It'll just have ads, which is annoying. Very annoying. And then for this process here, you can mark up your trades and then correlate them across to the HFX, the pocket options platform. So, but we're just going to run through some of these things first for other people for educational purposes. So best you can, mate. I know obviously you're going to be going off, you have to go back a little bit from where you were, but
yeah, that's right. So I think it was around here. I don't know what happened to my annotations because they were there when I logged back on, but it was around. Give me a sec. It was around. I think it was around here, around this area here. I think. I'm just trying to have a look. I think so. I think it was somewhere around here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I was looking at it on the hour.
Because sometimes with the free version, if you open up a new browser, you may not be in your own account. Although I think
I did go to another market just before. I was just looking at the long-term stuff. I believe it was somewhere around here. I think it was on GP. Yeah.
I'll double check the message and I'll be able to tell exactly which pair it was, but I'm sure it was this one too because it looks a little similarly set up. If I just go here to yours, come on. Yeah, it doesn't say because you cut off. We took the photo. It's only got CAD. But yeah, it just got with your photo that you took. It's only got Canadian dollar.
Yeah, and it was on this one.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the one.
You just had a different broker uploaded. That's all.
Yeah. So that's it. So and I was looking at the half now. There we go.
Get you going on this. I might just help you set up, and this is for replay viewers too, just to help set up your trading view look a little bit better and a little bit cleaner. So if I'll annotate this, just over this side, like all this is on your watch list. This is all crap that you can get rid of.
This stuff over here.
Yeah. So if you hover your mouse over one of the pairs, so say SPX, that first one,
that
little X that's just there at the bottom, or the do that to all of them. Get rid of all of them. Get rid of all those ones. We just get rid of all of them. We'll start fresh. Now hit the plus sign here. This is how you add things in. Easily navigate. Now just type in that same one you did then again, GPB CAD. I hit the plus sign instead of loading it.
Okay.
Now it's added to your side over there anyway.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah. And just hit the plus again just for the sake of it. I'll add in another one. Just put Euro USD. Not that first one. Hang on. Let's get rid of that. You got OUS.
Oh,
Euro USD. That's probably why it's
that one.
Plus. Click and plus. Cool. Now just click off that. Now if you double click the first one, because you just clicked over, then that's how you can navigate easily through your pairs.
Beautiful.
Quick transitions instead of having to search it each time. Right, cool. So run us through this.
What's that, mate?
Run us through this now. Let's see what we're seeing.
All right, so I think I came in around here and I was looking, and obviously it had this big downtrend, and I knew it wanted to come in and fill this imbalance, and then I was kind of looking where it was filled in over here as well to see where it was kind of comfortable to come back down again. So I wanted to go with the trend instead of this reversal point here. So I think sometimes I get faked out a fair bit on these reversal points. And then I was like, just go with the trend. So I knew it wanted to fill in pretty much where this square is. And I actually set this as my indicator. If it reaches this level, I think I had it a little bit lower. And once it reached that to go in. And I think I got it in around one of these two.
Yeah.
And I think I cleared it. I mean, I have some on my phone. I cleared it around I think here.
Yeah,
that's right.
And this, how long was the trade length for?
So that was a 20-minute trade. It's a little bit different. So I look at the 5 because I like to see what the price action is doing and how the candle's behaving itself. You know, how much it's fluctuating within that 5-minute time frame. And then I look on the 15 for my indicators, and then the 30 for the longer trend. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So I have my trading view on the 30, and then I've got I can't get onto it, but I've got then my pocket options with the double screen. So I've got the 15 on this side, the 5 on this side, and pretty much I've got my indicators down the bottom, and if they all line up, then it's good. If 2 of them line up, I'm happy, because on the 15 and the 5, if they line up, I'm confident. And then, but if the so I got around here where it's split, and if the 3 of them line up, like I said to you, I was quite confident because all 3 were lining up. Then I went in pretty hard, and then just let it run, walked away and checked it later that night, and boom.
Awesome, for sure. What I might get you to do, mate, because I'll actually even just I'll quickly talk on this. If you leave the screen just where that is now, I'll speak a little bit more about it. So essentially what Shannon here is for more of the other students to sort of understand what it is that he was looking at when he meant by trading with a trend. Well, quite clearly now we can see that prior to that price action, so we kind of need to ignore, because he ended up here. So at the time, the trend was essentially this was our zone through here. Okay, so the trend was clearly that we were falling, because this was essentially the buying climax. So this was the high point. And when we were trending prior, so I'll just go back a step. Essentially, this was our low, this is our high, right? These are our lows, these are our highs, this is our low, this is our high. So these are all high highs, high lows. So essentially we're trending up into this wave here, right? Then we had our selling climax, which is here. Therefore, now all of a sudden we are now trending down. And what this is here, right? This is a low that is lower than not only this low, but also this low. So this is what we call a break of structure. So all of a sudden there's a reversal taking place, because as we know, we can't just keep trending upwards. We can't just keep trending sideways or down. It needs to, essentially, we usually go upwards, a bit of sideways price action. And then depending on whether it wants to keep going bullish or bearish, we'll then trend to a new direction. So now that we can see that we are starting to trend downwards, Shane wanted to get in on this and trade with the trend, looking for a sell as opposed to a buy, because it is a lot more of an easier way to trade, as opposed to try to counter trend trading that. So what we need to look at now, based on what we see there, and it traded this really, really well. And I wasn't trading Friday, mate, but this is a really good trade that you put up here. So essentially what we can see is that this was once this low was broken, so this was our previous low, right? And this big move down, which was our institutional move, huge, significant move. Look, there's 3 or 4 red candles to the downside that took this previous low. Whereas we look at all the other price action in that prior movement, there wasn't. It was pretty consistent up, some green, some red, some green, some red, some green, some red. So our eyes get drawn to this institutional area here, which Shane's pretty much marked up. So if I was doing a box, it would be this area, which is still an area of interest for me based on this current move where we're going. That's exactly where it's heading to right now, but we'll worry about that in a future reference. So my eyes get drawn into this area. Now, based on this is a half an hour time frame, doesn't mean that price has to return to this area right now, right? It can return at another point, which, like I said, is going to come now. So based on the fact that this low was taken, and then this is our clear, obvious reversal point based on this wick. Now, this move has come down and taken also this low, which is fine. So where's our next area of interest for a potential reversal? Well, here and here, there's some imbalance that needs to be filled. So I know that we do need to trade back into this area here. So I do need to watch this. right? And then the next area of interest, well, we can see that's a clear overt IC area is here, which is just below this point. But there is also more imbalance that's found through here, which is why this turned around to this point there. So you can always see it's always really important to look left to get right. Market doesn't just stop and reverse at any random particular point. It needs to have react off areas of prior price action to the upside, then also to the downside when it was coming back to that area. So, right, what he's done there is really, really good. Now, you may not be able to predict this because essentially this could be a fake out. Understand that. But this wick, what this wick has done with this entire move, right, through this up before the down move, it's taken that low, and the wick has filled all of this imbalance through here, or the vast majority of it, before then having to return back to its initial movement. Now, yes, it didn't return all the way, but what it did return to is 50%, or just about a bit over. So if we look at this move and this move, right, the high and low of that move, because that's our IC area, we've returned to that, what's essentially that 61.8, that golden percent. This is just me off the eye. Like if we're looking at 50%, that's about there, but it's a little bit higher. So it's around that sort of 60 to 70% of that entire move, which is a really good area of interest for a sell-off if it doesn't continue all the way. So you getting in here for a sell was really, really good, mate, based on that exact process. Plus, you can also see, yes, this was another really obvious IC move, the last up before the down that came up and broke structure. And by you having, you know, like you said, you're still only relatively new at trading, but you to know that this area shows that there's a lot of trading patterns through there, right? That's really, really good to pick that up as knowledge. So a really awesome sell-off. So for those who saw essentially this wick, pushing down to then forming, we've got a green engulfing candle. This would have been a good opportunity for a buy here and catching this little move up to the upside, which is one that I would have got in on. And then, you know, based on my time frames as well, that would have cleared. And then seeing the next move to the downside, which is what Shan got in, which is really, really cool. And I guess now sort of moving forward, what do we look at now? Well, my eyes get drawn to the most obvious areas I've already highlighted before, which was this area in here, right? And this is where the move's coming, definitely moving towards. But the reason why this is a really good area of interest is not only we've got some equal highs here, have a look at that as 1, 2, 3, 4, basically 5 equal highs on the 1 hour. That might be 2 or 3 equal highs. That's also near an IC area. So what I want to see here essentially is price come up into this area. If we can get that engulfing candle, right, plus the 50% retracement and then the sell away, awesome. That's exactly what I'd like to see, because we still are, you know, technically bearish. As long as we don't break this IC area on this particular time frame, we are still bearish. And we've got obviously heaps of imbalanced areas here to the downside that need to be filled. So, you know, I'd like to see that signs of weakness on and seeing an entry point up here. Another one as well, which I just want to show in, you get these at the start of the market. Now have a look here, this is a gap, right, where essentially price closed and finished up on Friday and where it opened up for us on Monday, or essentially Saturday morning for us, and then Monday for us here. So when you see those gaps form, they more often than not need to be filled, and they get filled relatively quickly on the Forex market. So, you know, if we were and happened to be on live right at that time, and also obviously as well, if you were lucky enough to get the pairing paying very well, you know, and probably might not have, but just be aware, because gaps can also form not essentially just at the open and close of markets. They kind of, it's a public holiday or something throughout the week, you know, some kind of major event, holiday event, etc. You'll see those gaps form, and they are really good to be traded. So essentially price closed here and it opened here. So a candle would have just formed here, ignoring all this up here. Now we know that price needs to come and fill that gap. So essentially once I saw this green engulfing candle print, I actually would have put a buy order in here at that 50% retracement, and boom, nothing but upward price action. Something to take in consideration with gaps, because they definitely need to be filled. What Shan was also talking about as well with one of the indicators, this is the stochastic, which he has rolling through here. Really good indicator that just shows buying and selling pressure to the upside, to the downside. So essentially if price stays above this red line for extended periods of time, it does need to fall. And as you can see, it doesn't stay there very long. Like there's only little hits, and then it needs to fall. Same to the downside. as well. When it comes down, hits, and then it needs to come back up. So, you know, if we can, it's already looking like it's quite oversold. So it looks like we're going to get probably a reaction off this current area at the moment. But I want to wait and be patient. That's important with this method of trading. And Shane's learning this as well through him waiting for this setup. He waited for about 45 minutes for this to take place. Is you do want to see, ideally, if we can see again that same, as I showed you, the up and then a retracement candle before a downward move. So this being an engulfing move. This being an engulfing candle to the prior one prior, and then a 50% retracement before the sell-off. If we can get that in that golden pocket area and also have our overbought indicator, that'd be great, because what I'm sort of reckoning we're going to see is something sort of like this. That would be ideal, you know, and then we look to enter in around this area just below once it gets into the red, which should correlate to around about this area here as well in that market. Does that make sense to you, Shane, there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I hope that just reiterates. So that's just where my eyes drawn to straight away. Is that, and was that still an area of interest for you right there as well?
Yeah. So I'm, you know, kind of predicting it to right now come down a little bit here, then come back up to around this area, and then continue on down, just like you just said. I'm not expecting this to go down too far. I'm kind of expecting it to sit, you know, kind of like it has here, and then continue back up, and then fall with the trend.
Keep going. You're right.
Oh no, that's it, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. It sounded like you're still saying something, but yeah, for sure.
I was just like you just said. I was just looking further back left, just kind of, you know, around these areas. Obviously, it kind of wants to eventually come back there potentially. So there's a lot to still happen. It looks like it's still figuring itself out here.
Yeah, definitely. And my eyes just drawn to those equal highs. You know, there's so many equal highs there. That's definitely where it's wanting to come up to. So, you know, and when you have equal highs near an IC area, that's awesome. That's our bread and butter for what we look for. So definitely keep your eye on that. What I might get you to do, mate, is just make me host again. So if you right click on my face and then make me host. Awesome. I just need to minimize my screen. I can't minimize while we're doing this. It's really annoying. Okay, now I'm host. Why am I not showing me my charts? Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So I can't do it on trading view, but on my pocket options, I obviously have the RSI as well. Just helps me with momentum.
You can add RSI to that one, but at the same time, the RSI on the pocket option is probably enough. I'd rather have a bigger screen on trading view, so less indicators and more of the things, so you can see what's going on. So all right. Okay, I'm just gonna share my screen now. Oh, you got yours there too. Yeah, sweet, mate. Does that show what's GBP cat? I don't have that open at the moment. GBP cat, is that paying at the moment? It's paying.
No, it's not paying anything. I'm just trying to see. No, it's all right. But yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can. What's
so this is my setup pretty much. So kind of where we're going, momentum, and my indicators.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And like that's probably another one as well. Like you can sort of see just clearly looking at this particular pair, GBP CAD as well. Like I know that's the one we were looking at before, but you know, you can see quite clearly that we're trending up. So, you know, now you got your little pullback on that one. But if you go back to pocket options, you can sort of see this is another one trading with the trend. So there's two different types of trade methods. Annotate this while we're there, is trading off the EMA. So the EMA is this preset line that's within the Bollinger Bands, which goes up here, which I've indicated on there. Now that is, what's your second time frame, your second square time frame? Is that a 5? Oh, there it is, 5 minutes.
So this is 5 and this is 15.
Yeah, and at the moment, what sort of time frames are you looking at trading predominantly?
So as you can see, I've got my 3 minute set up. So that's if I'm liking the look of a short term buy. 3 minute is my minimum. Just eliminates a lot of anxiety around staring at the price action. And 12 minutes enough for me to kind of move away from the pair and come back to it later, just to give it more time to, if it does come back up, I know it should settle in.
For sure, mate. Yeah, really.
And then I think like that other one, if I think it might need a little bit longer, I'll just quickly flick up and then I'll wait, and then go back and confirm on TradingView just like that. Wait to see what's happening. I'll come back, watch for a while, and then enter.
For sure. So one sort of thing here, which you can sort of see on your 5-minute chart here, if there's some shorter term trades available. So we've been dabbling with a few 2-hour trades. Also, as Shan's been dabbling with some 20 minutes, and I still like to do the 3-minute trades. But trading off the EMA, as I said here, which is that middle line, when you're in a very bullish market, which we can see by this move, plus we saw on TradingView, like we were just nothing but up. This move's going up quite substantially. Trading off the EMA, which is the middle green line on a smaller time frame, is something that does present quite a lot. So you can see in this particular move sort of here where I've just circled, and I'll just undo it so you can see it a bit more clearly. That is a really good opportunity. You can see 3 touches of resistance essentially to the EMA. So those wicks to the downside, you've got 1, 2, and 3. 3 touches. On the EMA there would be substantial enough on that third one to place a buy order. You can zoom in there, mate. Again, actually, that'll be all right. And on that third one, essentially, would be a really great opportunity for a buy order, because on a smaller time frame, because we're looking at the 5-minute, but that wick here on, like, say, the 1 minute / 30 seconds would be a little mini form, and this wick here has come into the 50% of that. So it'd be like a engulfing candle followed by a mitigation play candle. So a buy, essentially placing a buy order there for just looking at the 5-minute, but 3 minutes would be, you would clear very easily. So seeing where price is sort of heading now, as you can see, it's coming back down, and I believe it's going to make a bounce off that EMA as well. But
yeah, around kind of towards this area over here, I reckon.
Correct.
It'll come down.
Make it trend down. Now, obviously, we're not going to trade this pair. It's paying shit. It's also not an ideal trading time. It's still quite early. Probably not another 3 or 4 hours, because it's only 12:30 at the moment. So, but it's just
like you said, got to stick with routine. This is not my trading time. Not allowed.
You got to find what works best with you. And Shan's obviously practiced with a few different time frames, a few different time zones as well, like as in time of the days, and just found what's best with him. And I find that once you find that what's good, stick to it. Don't change it, because you start to understand familiarities, and also you'll begin to see like that certain pairs move a certain way and over consistent time. Because I've been trading now for what's it been, 2 years of looking at charts constantly. You begin to see which ones move the same, and also which ones correlate, because there is correlations in certain pairs. So if you trade on one pair, you'll be able to do another trade on the exact same pair, or sorry, on another pair that's the same movement of that. So therefore you can just double your trade and reduce your risk, because you find the ones that correlate. So one thing I wanted to share as well on here was there what's paying right now? Well, because actually I had to cancel all my apps down because sorry, replay viewers, my Wi-Fi crashed just before I started. I haven't got all my
the only ones that aren't over the counter that are at 70, Euro CAD, Euro GBP, Euro GBP, yeah.
Euro CAD, Euro USD, Euro.
Okay, so if you go
Euro CAD, let me just have a look at Euro CAD.
If you have a look at Euro CAD, that bounce that we're just talking about looks like it might take effect, because it looked like it might have just a quick reversal somewhere around here. So my time frames have just changed. I do like to chop and change my time frames a lot, just so I know what's happening on the short and the long.
Yeah, well, here's a very interesting point looking at EuroCAD. So if you're able to go to if you go to TradingView on EuroCAD and have a look at the 1 hour, we're basically at the previous high point on the 1 hour. We've got a heaps of lows, heaps of penny lows. Sorry, my internet's a little bit slagging at the moment. So, and actually, even if you go back to half an hour, because it's probably a little bit more clearer where you were, which it doesn't really matter.
It is.
Yeah, a little bit downward move there. and you got a little gap there, this is actually a really good setup for a sell. So this is one that I'll be watching at, and it's pretty much reacted already off that IC area. So it's, it's a shame it's not paying very well at the moment, but it could be a really good opportunity for what we're seeing. So Shannon's going to mark up stuff, and I know what he's going to see, but I'll talk while you do that. Well, actually, you know what? Just sort of see what you can see, and
so that's just marking up kind of my high point, so I know where it kind of wants to come up and touch, because it wants to fill in this bit here. It may not come up as high, but given what's happening around here, so I just need to go back and have a look at here too. So we might see a little bit of kind of like this coming up, but this one's a bit, that's not filled in. Yeah, so it looks like we want to fill this in, come up to the top, and if I do this, I'd say we're kind of looking around this area for a sell-off. Would that be about right?
Well, to sort of we're already in that area of interest. You can see basically you're pretty close. I'll just come in and annotate this. So you have a look at this wick here. Now I do expect a bit more of a higher retracement, but you have a look at that wick. If you were to draw your straight line, I can't draw.
Yeah.
Put a horizontal ray across that.
That here. Yeah, right there.
Have a look where that reacted exactly off the open.
Yeah.
That's again. So if we know, remembering what I said, what's our area of interest? Our current IC candle, which is where it's pretty much just a little bit lower to where you marked off, mate, but it's all this area. Okay. So what we highlight with your box is looking at, the green, the green candle. So the bottom to the top of that green candle that you're in now. So, if you just grab that box and you're going to put the bottom of the box pretty much where that blue line is. So you're going to
just the bottom of the box. Yeah,
drag the whole box up. So that's your area. Okay, that's what we're looking at in terms of precise. That's our IC candle, because what we're focused on here is actually the green candle, not the red candle, because it's the last up candle before the down move. Okay. Now we didn't break structure technically in terms of creating a lower low, but we don't really, when we look at structure, we look at the close of the candle. So actually, technically we did, it's only very minuscule, but I was also coming to the end of the week because this is Friday's price action. So we went a lot of sideways move.
Yeah. So would you say if we broke through here, it would be a break of structure?
Well,
by the end of the candle is,
it's for structures, I always go off the candle closes or opens, so the actual body of the candle. But what you do have here is a shitload of wrestling liquidity. So you've got a lot of essentially equal lows. On a 1 hour, that would look a lot like a lot of equal lows. And what else did I say? We've got a big gap here that needs to be filled. So if it was paying well and it was in a good time zone, I actually would have traded that wick right now. I would have gone in for a sell off on that, just because it reacted so strongly off that area. Not too sure whether it's going to return back to that just yet. I think because then again, the next area is this area here, which is essentially the last down before the up move, where I can see a potential buy to this area before then a continuation down. But, I don't want to over confuse people with what we're looking at here. Just be aware of when you first come into the charts, like we are now, because it's just some live price action. I'm trying to undo that, but it won't let me undo it. Why not? It's just frozen. Is this in here, this area here, where we'll be looking at. Now, what was also really cool is if you just zoomed out slightly, mate, there was that initial movement here, so you can back test why not. There we go. That just got rid of it off the screen. This move here, where you've marked this blue line here, right? Where did that react off? That reacted off this same IC area, right? But what did it react
Mm.
off? Remember, we're trying to focus off the green candle here, that green one. So that's where it's came into. It's come into this green candle, mitigated out of the green candle, and it also filled all that imbalance that was in that prior move, right? So that was really good, but you need to know, okay, well, where do you get your opportunity to place? Because you probably, like, depending on the time frame, if you initially got in off that sell, so you initially got in on this wick here, right? You know, you still would have cleared, but as you can see, it does tend to give you a return point if there's imbalance, which is why it came back up to here, gave you another return entry point before it sell off. So be aware of that it does tend to give you that initial entry point and a secondary one if you be patient enough. But at the same time as well, you don't necessarily always need it. But the fact that we have only reacted off that, okay, and now, like I said, I expect a deeper retracement. I would have traded this initially, as I said, and you would have cleared it no problem because it was such a heavy pullback. But be patient because, yeah, another entry will provide itself into here. And then, yeah, I'd be selling this for sure, as long as that we're not going to go higher. So you got to not just jump in on a wick. Ideally, what you want to see for a setup, as we've sort of said plenty of times before, you know, do I see one that's sort of here right now? Like kind of here, like this is an example. Sorry, mate. If you go back, there was a little one back there. Just zoom back in, like it's not bread and butter, but it's essentially, we see here with this being price exhaustion. So pretend that green wick one here is this red one, okay? And that's come up. Then you get a massive engulfing candle to the downside, which in this case would be a red candle. So you've got that massive engulfing candle. And then you get a wick that comes up to around that 50%, ideally to the open. So the open of the previous one. And then where that wick was, which was here, that would be a really great sell-off, which is what we want to see here. So going off this particular move, pretend this is a big green candle that's come up into here. That's a green one that fills up. Awesome. Then we get engulfing red candle, which might be boom. Okay, that's a little bit bigger. Now it's not always going to be this, but when you get these ones, these are really good setups. Big engulfing red. So the second one's red, and then you get a secondary green candle that comes up to that, or ideally even better is a wick. So we get a wick that comes, because this is the open, a wick that comes up to say 50%, 60% area, followed by then just a little bit of body of, that would be green. Okay, that would be green. And a selling entry from here would be bang on. Okay, selling entry from there. So that was green. This one is red, and then this one is green. In our area of interest, make sure we're oversold, which, you know, in theory, because we are already quite oversold, that's why I'm expecting a bit of a pullback before we get back to that area, because it's already starting to indicate downwards. So we can watch that actually, man. And
yeah, I'll just see what let's see what my, like, if I was to, so for me, yeah, like you were saying, so this is a good sign for me because it matches up with the longer. So this would be maybe a 12 or 20 minute trade. It wouldn't be shorter. I'll go away. I want to go back. Oh, all right.
no, you're right, mate. It gets like that.
Yeah, so I don't have two screens at the moment. So for me, it's not a 3 minute trade because these two don't match up. Because for me, this momentum saying wants to go up a little bit on the shorter time frame. I know on the longer time frame, if it was to go up a little bit, it will drop back down. And if I just go back to that again, yeah. So I remember you told me once that if they're nice and wide, it's a good indication. So as you said, they're both nice and wide for me. 12 minute, I reckon. Maybe probably longer because of what the 5 minutes doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure, mate, for sure.
Yeah.
For those
just to give it more time to settle. I think that's where initially my time frames were off, because I know what it wanted to do, but it'd get stopped out by the time because it hadn't settled down yet, or it wanted to fill in, you know, the imbalances and stuff.
Yeah, do you want to sort of touch on that a little bit more? So how, because initially you were doing, I guess, shorter time frames, but do you want to just, what you said was really important, but just trying to explain it again, how you sort of adjusted your time lengths?
Um, so what another thing I actually do is see how this is only within the first minute. I won't get in. I found I wasn't allowing myself enough time, even though it's dropped now. I found it would kind of probably push up a little bit more, and then maybe just settle down a tiny bit, depending on what the time frame was. And I just wasn't allowing myself. I wasn't patient enough. So see how I'm on the 3 minute. I know if I kind of if this pushes up in the next 30 seconds, let's say we're looking for a sell here, and it was the other way around. It was coming down. I would just wait a little bit for it to settle. And if I wasn't comfortable with what the price action was doing, I wouldn't get in, because I found previously I would be getting stopped out by the time. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, mate. It does. Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, on the 15, because I'm at 3 minutes, I'm not going to get in, because the candle has done nothing for 12 minutes or what, 13 minutes or whatever. I just don't like the look of it. I would probably wait to see what it does again. I know what it wants to do, but there's just something about this doji candle that doesn't sit well. What's it going over here? See, again, even on a 30-minute, I don't like the look of that. Because I remember Dom was saying, dojis are a good indication of possible reversals, or what did he say? Did he say that? Just like a short reversal or something?
Yeah, for sure. So like if you
Yeah,
look at this now, like if you can sort of see, as we said, we reacted so strongly off this icy area, off the open, and then now if you go back to your pocket options one, you can sort of see it's a decision point. Actually, really.
yeah,
So like, well, we've on the 15 minute, we actually have created an engulfing candle. Again, we're not going to
yeah,
trade this based on now, but I actually would have, for me, a very short term trade is presenting here.
yeah,
Nothing too crazy, be a 5 to 6 minute trade if I had it open, and that is essentially off this wick. Because if you sort of see here, we've got 3 or 4 wicks to the upside, right, which is showing strong. It's not nice, but it's still showing a lot of resistance to the upside. I would wait for a break through this EMA, and if we get a break through this EMA, which it looks like it's going to do now, I'd actually sell this, because
yeah,
I expect that we're going to get a bounce. So, but this is obviously trading within the EMAs. And I don't want you to do that whether you're relatively new, like Shannon's sort of new and he's just sticking to his format at the moment where he's looking for trades off the Bollinger Bands predominantly, correct?
yeah, pretty much. The EMA is another support and resistance margin for me. I'll just jump onto my demo account. So if we just I can, I guess, do a live trade. It doesn't really matter. Sorry, out in the country, bad internet. Hopefully this loads. But so on this one here, I spoke about it with Dom. Is if it breaks the EMA, I've tended to find it likes to continue. So this is where a shorter one for me would come in. I'd be watching it over the next 15 minutes, watching to see if it breaks. I know it is technically overbought, but the longer time frame wants to continue down. So on this one, I am expecting it to come up a little bit and then to kind of fall away quite nicely. Yeah, I find trying to kind of get that bounce off, I haven't been too successful at, so I've just kind of stayed away from that for now. But I did have some successful trades waiting for the push through and the momentum to continue on.
So once it broke through the EMA, that's when you would tend to come through?
Correct, yeah, because it was kind of another indicator for here, because I know this wants to keep coming down. Yeah, I found on the lower time frames, there was big price action after the breakthrough on the EMA.
For sure. And then obviously now, and so people are aware, it's like I said, it's 1:15 here. Not much of the market's open. You've only got Australia. Tokyo is just about to open, which is why it's very slow right now. But we just sort of wanted to run this through with you live, so you've got something to have a look at. But with this 4 or 5 essential doji candles forming on the EMA, you wouldn't even probably trade it. It's just moving too slow. You'd probably leave it, and you'd be looking at 4 or 5 other pairs, and you probably would have entered something else, and you wouldn't even worried about this. But if we can see a significant, which looks like starting to take place now, breakthrough. I guess my question to you is, mate, because as you said, you've got a little bit of divergence between the two pairings, with your 5-minute already being at the bottom of oversold on the stochastic, and yet your stochastic on the 15 has got a lot more room to fall. Would you be still trading this, or how would you sort of process it with a slight discrepancy between the two?
So like I said, I wanted to wait to see what this one did, but I wouldn't. This is just for me to look at the moment. I just like to see what the quick price action is doing. I'd be comfortable with a longer trade, somewhere 12 to 20 minutes, especially given this, just kind of what we've analyzed here.
I'd be confident too with a longer term trade.
Yeah. So, I do want this to come up just a little bit more before I went in. Not sure if it's going to do it. It should, but yeah.
So you'd like to see almost all those wicks taken, maybe like those highs taken, and then a sell off.
Whereabouts are we looking at?
On 5-minute, because you got like 3 or 4 wicks to the upside. The only thing is you had 3 all within alignment with each other on that 5-minute, and then you've had that last 4th one that's come up and taken. Almost like a liquidity sweep. On a low, like on a 1-minute, that would have been 7 or 8 wicks to the upside. One that's substantially higher than all those 3, and now a move still going, but it may not give you an opportunity to return to.
Yeah. So let's just, for practice sake, let's make this a 20. Even then, I think that's a bit long. Let's just do a 12. Let's just see what happens. Let's just go in with a 12. And I am expecting on this next candle. You see, I reckon I don't reckon if I was live, I would get in. I'm just not liking this kind of sideways movement. I'd just wait for some better action, even though, yes, these look good. It's just not doing what I want it to do.
So what would you say, would you like to see ideally off these two for it to be a 100% conviction trade for you?
So let's say, right, we're at the EMA here, but our stochastic was up here. I'd be 100% in. I just have to work out my time frame based on the 30, the 15, and the 3, but I would be in for a longer sell, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I reckon we're going to have a little bounce off and then break through, just given the longer time frames. But like I said, I wouldn't be getting in on this live. I'm just doing this just to see what happens.
For sure. I think as well, like we were already discussing it, but just purely off that 15-minute, and even your 12-minute trade off the 15-minute would have actually been bang on, with looking at the 15 on this side, where we had the engulfing yellow candle to the green candle. So that yellow down candle engulfed the green one. And what did the wick do? It came to essentially the 15, that, which also correlates. That's the wick to Trading View's wick on our half an hour. That's what that whole move is the wick, the pullback wick. So that would have been bang on. And then if you had entered at that point, as you can see, like at the top of the wick, you would have cleared it easily. But as Shan's sort of talking about now, we've reacted off the EMA. We're starting to go a little bit bullish. And, I think, as you sort of said, mate, a little bit more of a pullback trade is potential through there. But no dramas at all. I didn't expect you to do it. I put you under the pump here too.
No, that's all right.
Welcome.
Diamonds are made under pressure. So that it just went to 230. 230 would have been my in point. So I did get in earlier than I wanted, but I was looking around that 230 mark. So I just had a little hover before, and I was like, yeah, 230 is about where I want to be. But I just don't like these two candles with not a lot of price action, because I'd rather get, 50 plus pips than one pip.
For sure. I still like, with another wick forming to the upside, I still like to sell. I think we might have enough time to clear it. Entry might not have been precise, but I still like it.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I reckon here we're going to go through, see how we're crossing again. I said it was going to come up and back down.
Yeah.
So for me, potentially on the next 5 minutes, I'd just let it do its thing, and I'd get in around the 330 for a short 3-minute trade, just depending on what it does through the EMA.
So that was going to be another question. So would you sometimes trade, like multiple trade, if you got conviction, would you multiple trade one trade, like one pair?
Yeah, I have done that. See what it's. So this is for me, this is a big confidence boost, how it's come through.
Mm-hmm.
Previously, I might have gone in for a sell, not looking properly, not looking left to get right. And this would have happened, and it would have been frustrated. But for me, this is another.
If you want to do another 3 minute, mate, do it. That can be really cool, because we'll stay with it. We'll stay with it for the 7 minutes and then we'll finish up the call. But
yeah, I don't want to get in now. I've missed it. I just wanted to watch. Yeah. But I reckon in the next one, this is going to come down quite nicely, which will allow this to come down. Wait for it to get to maybe back up to just a little bit above 205-ish. Yeah, just as predicted. So what are we at? 20. I was expecting this because they were so fine together, and I believe on the 5 minutes going to stay oversold for, what are we, overbought? What are we? I've forgotten. Brain fart. On the 5, I'm expecting this to run just a little bit longer.
I just realized I was muted. Sorry. Yeah, and that has correlations with what you say about it just trending a little bit more down here. Yep, for sure, because you get confluence with that, which is why we have 2 time frames. Well, Shannon has 2 time frames on this one. On the 15, we've still got so much more room before it falls into the oversold territory.
Yep.
And how big the gap is. Shannon mentioned it as well. The bigger the gap between the lines essentially means the bigger the momentum to whatever way that it's pointing. So in this case, the bigger the momentum, the fall to the downside. Now, we got a little bit of resistance here, and our momentum is starting to sell off in terms of the awesome oscillators, which is our volume momentum to the downside. As you can see, these red bars, which is essentially the selling pressure, is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Therefore, meaning that our sells are are starting to run out. So we are going to heading towards a reversal point as well on this. But in theory, I think that's going to be well and truly here. But confluence, again, we're selling during this move, which is what we've done. Selling during this move. We're not trying to sell during this kind of move as well to get some more confluences through our indicators. I actually like a secondary sell. If we can get a retest and a short, which we may not give us, but a little wick up to that 50%, and then EMA becomes now resistance instead of support, taps off it, I'd actually like a 3 minute sell.
I'm with you. That's what I'm just waiting for. I just kind of want it at a more comfortable price. That's not too bad.
You can zoom in on that chart, mate, a little bit.
Let's just go there. I think it's long enough. See, a bit under pressure. I think if I was by myself, I wouldn't really like it. I went in too early. See how one of my rules is, let the minute go.
Yeah,
Just let it do its thing. But I'm pretty confident with this one that it should continue down.
This is nice, man. This is really good. This is really cool. So that's probably where I'd be looking at that sort of 50%. I want to see that 50% smack.
Yeah.
But even then, I still think you're giving yourself enough time, 3 minutes, that you're talking about a couple of little pips. I think it's pick up quickly and then fall like it's doing now. So got a couple of different options there. Obviously, for guys that are watching the replay, we have the shorter term trades, and some people like them. Some people don't like to be in a trade too long. Some people find it a little bit too, as Shan said, anxiety ridden, and it can be for sure. It can be. So I personally like the longer term trades now as well. I still do a few little ones. If I see like absolute gun ho ones like that, bang, I'll get in and out. But I like it within a move that I'm already doing. So then I know I'm still trading with my current trade, and I'm also staying. I like to stay with a pair. I don't try to over trade. If I have 2 trades going, they usually have to be with the same pair. I don't like to have multiple going with multiple ones because you just can lose a little bit unless I'm only got 2 longer term trades, like a 2-hour one over 2. That's fine. But, we were lucky. We analyzed this quite quickly. We were obviously looking at GBP CAD. And then we just happened, I said, look at Euro CAD because that was the next one on my list. And we were at a key area that we looked at the 1 hour, we looked at the half an hour, and then Shan's come through and dissected on the lower time frames here to see some really clear trades. So, mate, this is really cool. This is really cool.
Yeah, so it is doing what we expected at the moment. I always I do a lot of flicking. I do need to invest in 2 screens. I do a lot of flicking. So if I'd had this on my monitor. Hopefully with a few more wins, we get a good one.
For sure, mate. For sure. I think what you can do is just those monitors nowadays. If you've got a actual laptop that has a HDMI cable in it, those monitors are like $100 from JB Hi-Fi, and you can just plug a HDMI cable in and set up 2 screens. You can drag your screen over and across.
Yeah.
They're not too expensive. So I think, like I said, we've got 30 seconds. And that one's it's coming up and down. I'm not a huge fan of those shorter term frame trades anymore. But it's so close that it's interesting to see. In profit, out of profit, in profit, out of profit. I hate that. And this is going to be interesting to see with that, obviously, that little wick up, that little bit higher, that 50% cleared, no problem. This is still going to clear anyway. We've got this easy.
Yeah. So like I said, I think I got in a little bit too early. So there's 207. It went up to, I can't remember what it got up to, but there we go. See that? See how I said I got in too early, and that just smashed down a lot longer. There we go. Yeah. So if I waited just that extra 45 seconds, it would have been a lot more comfortable for myself.
Sure. And you would have got that 50%, like a bit higher retracement.
That's it. Yeah.
And cleared a lot more. And it'll do that too, weirdly. Like it's very temperamental pocket options. So I just find allowing yourself more time is always better. It's definitely always better. The longer term trades, and Shane, you can attest to that. Like these longer term trades are doing a lot better for you.
100%. It's more fun too, I reckon, because I don't know, just analyzing it all, going all the way back, a few days, hours, just that win feels just a little bit better.
For sure.
For me, it takes a lot of the guess and, like we discussed, the gamble out of it. It looks like I've actually done my homework and all right, sweet. And then,
Yeah, and it's good because that's what, like I said to you off before we started recording, some people unfortunately get, they start to understand the process and they get a few successes initially and they get some quick money and they all think this is really great. And then they realize what they're not doing is they've been pretty much guessing. And then my connection's getting a little bit bad. And then they start losing a few trades and they wonder why it is. Well, they're not actually analyzing the market. They're not doing it properly. So this has got 10 seconds left. It's going to clear by a country mile. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on or ask, mate, while we're doing this now?
No, not really. No. I think we had some other discussions outside of just trading, but that was good. That was real good.
To bang, whether that obviously that was just a demo account. It's not what they're paying 70%, so obviously we wouldn't trade this now. Ideally, we don't want to trade anything under 80%, which doesn't usually happen until later in the afternoon into the evening. So, what I would essentially be doing is within, say, the next 3 hours or so, around that 3-4 o'clock early afternoon, jump on a trading view, have a look at a few pairs, mark up a few areas that are area of interest. Like, for example, we had with Shannon's on the trading view, have that IC area already marked up and just be waiting patiently like this. I'd have 5 or 6. Now, on the free version, you can't do it, but you can just delete off your watch list all the ones that are not in any area of interest and just have the ones up here that are. And then that means when you go to trade, you come on here, have a look first. All right, have we reacted? Where are we going to? What are we doing? And then you can look to just quickly flick through them and then correlate your entries across to pocket options. So it's all about making things easier and doing a bit of prep work. Don't just jump on the computer thinking you're going to make a trade straight away. We're pretty lucky there that we sort of did, but that's only because it happened to react off a premeditated IC area already. So we were able to get in pretty quickly. But, if price was where it is now, you're like, well, look, it's not really an area of interest. For me, I'd rather have a buy off the lower. If I wanted to, I'd rather have a buy off here or, more importantly, off gap, to be honest. Looking at this now, if we can get a strong reversal and come back without going to the low and we come back into this area, this is where I'd like to see another sell-off to take that gap and to take the lows. But I think we may actually see this happen all in that one move. So fine, you've got to be patient and just let it go. We've already profited off this technically, whether we were trading live or not. So be super patient. That's probably enough because that's gone for about an hour. So I'm just going to end this one on, and I'll have a chat to you after this anyway, mate. But thank you so much.
No, awesome. Thanks for that.
Good. All right.